Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. MLB Thursday, only 4 games. Well, there's actually 6 games on the board, but 2 of them are the Mets back-to-back, the double headers. So I'm going to go through 2 of them on this show. I gave out 2 picks on the website. I feel like I got shafted in both of them yesterday. I had the under in Yankees Diamondbacks. It was 2-2 after 9 innings. I had the under 8.5. They scored 7 runs in extra innings to butcher my under. A little bit frustrating. And then I had the Red Sox minus 1.5. They won 1-0. Wow. So yeah, a couple of tough beats for me there in MLB. But yeah, I'm going to go through 2 in this video. Let's roll.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
First up, we got Miami on the road in St. Louis. Cards are minus 150 favorites. Total sitting at 8.5. Let's take a look at the starting pitching matchup here. We got Ryan Weathers on the mound for the Marlins. Lance Lynn getting the start for the Cards. Let's take a look at the matchup for Lance Lynn against the Marlins offense. Kind of had a bit of a roller coaster start to the season here against the Dodgers. Started the game off with 3 straight singles, loaded the bases, then struck out 3 straight to get out of the jam. After that, 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 walk, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts. That's a solid start against the Dodgers. Now, a rain delay ended that game early, but that's a quality start there. And if you look at the 5 other righties that have pitched against the Dodgers this year, they combined for a horrible 8.38 ERA, 2.17 whip. And those other righty starters I'm talking about, Logan Webb, Keaton Winn, Miles Michaelis, Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish. Out of those 6 righty starters, those 5 and Lance Lynn has thrown the best game against the Dodgers so far this season. He's also got decent lifetime numbers against the current Marlins lineup. 701 OPS, just a 245 OBA. 5.3 walk rate. So, I mean, Lance Lynn's pitched well against the current Marlins batters. He did pitch against the Marlins last year, and it was pretty much a disaster. He got rocked. That was on the road in Miami. Gave up 7 hits, 8 runs, 3 homers, and 3 walks. So that's not really very endearing. But this game is being played at Busch Stadium, and Lance Lynn, much better at home throughout the course of his career. Well, certainly the last 3 years. You can see WOBA better, WHIP better, expected FIP down significantly as well. So the fact that this game's at home is a good sign for Lance Lynn. And also, Lance Lynn's got nice numbers in day games. You can see WOBA's better, strikeout to walk ratio's better, WHIP's better, expected FIP significantly better. So Lance Lynn, better at home, better in day games. Okay, Lance. The bad news for Lance Lynn is he tends to struggle against left-handed bats. You can see the numbers are pretty significant here. Strikeout to walk down, WOBA way up, WHIP up, expected FIP way up. Marlins are probably going to have 5 lefties in the lineup, including 3 of their first 4 bats, Arias, Chisholm, and Bell. And I know the Marlins have been pretty awful this year. I mean, look at their numbers against right-handed pitching on the season. A 66 WRC plus is terrible. No power at all, 623 OPS. But they've actually done a decent job hitting the 3 righty starters they've seen. Silseth, Keller, and Jones. Those 3 guys combined for 14 in the 3rd inning, 6.28 ERA, and a 147 whip. So despite the Marlins being pretty much terrible across the board, they've actually hit the 3 righty starters they've seen. So as much as I'd love to have all the faith in the world on Lance Lynn, definitely a little worried that the Marlins are going to get to him. The other matchup, we got Ryan Weathers against the Cardinals offense. Doesn't really have much history against this lineup. Arenado and Contreras combined to go 4 for 11 off Weathers with 2 doubles and 2 homers. Not really a great start there. In his first outing of the season this year, Weathers pretty much picked up right where he left off last year. 7 hits, 3 runs, and 2 walks through just 4 innings. If you were watching baseball last year, you know Weathers wasn't very good. Got off to a pretty bad start this year as well. I guess if you're looking for something, if you're looking for some kind of angle to back Weathers here, you can say he's been slightly better on the road throughout his career, but I mean, a 5.40 ERA, 3.57 WOBA, 153 WHIP. These aren't good numbers. 5.34 expected FIP. These are not good numbers. They're just better than his numbers at home. So, I mean, I guess there's something. I will say, though, and this is razor thin. This comes from Prop Beaver. Ryan Weathers actually has really good numbers in his 4 career road day starts. I know, it's thin, but 2.41 ERA, 2.55 WOBA, and 0.96 WHIP. Those are some really nice looking numbers. Now, he does have a 485 expected FIP, indicating that he's had some really good luck to have those numbers. But still, hey, there's something if you're looking. And you know what? We have to mention that the Cardinals' production against left-handed pitching just fell off a cliff last season. In 2022, they were the best lineup in baseball against lefties by far. 2023, they're back at 19th, 18th, and 20th in those 3 metrics. And yeah, the Cards definitely have some big names at the top of their order that can tag lefties. Their top 5 bats, an average WRC plus against left-handed pitching, 133.6. But the bottom 4 bats against left-handed pitching, average WRC plus of 53.4. So it's a really top-heavy lineup when it comes to hitting lefties. I mean, overall, though, as far as betting this game, I've been basically blindly fading the Marlins, and I don't see any reason to stop now. Not thrilled with the price, but I will almost definitely end up betting the Cardinals in some capacity. Maybe just take the money line at -144, maybe a double result or a team total over, maybe something like that. But I'm going to be in the Cards here. Give me the Cardinals next game. Cleveland on the road in Minnesota. Twins -155 favorites. Total sitting at 7.5. Let's take a look at the starting pitching matchup here. My man Tanner Bybee is on the mound. I'm a big Tanner Bybee fan. Pitching against Pablo Lopez for Minnesota. We'll start with the matchup for Pablo Lopez against the current Cleveland lineup, and you might be surprised to hear that they have great career numbers against Pablo Lopez, a 927 OPS and a 375 batting average. They're hitting 375 lifetime as a team off Pablo Lopez. And if you look at Pablo Lopez 3 starts against the Guardians last year, numbers don't look that bad. 1-1 with a 4.58 ERA, but look at the whip. 175. So he allowed a lot of base runners in those starts, and that ERA could have been much higher. And that's pretty intriguing considering Cleveland's lineup has started this season off red hot against right-handed pitching. The 5 righty starters they've seen so far this year: George Kirby, Louis Castillo, Hancock, Blackburn, Stripling. Decent arms in there. Those 5 guys combined for 26 2/3 innings, a 142 whip, and a 641 ERA. So Cleveland's been tagging these righty starters. And specifically, if you look at the 2 high-end righty arms they've seen, Louis Castillo and George Kirby, 2 guys that are considered elite right-handed starting pitchers, 20 hits and 12 runs through 9 1/3 innings against those 2 guys. This lineup is seeing right-handed pitching well. And the matchup gets even better for Cleveland's lineup when you look at Pablo Lopez splits over the last 2 years. This is true last year with Minnesota and the year before with Miami. This is from those 2 years combined. At home against left-handed bats has been his weak spot. 1.3 home runs per 9, a 153 whip. The reason that's significant, they're at home in Minnesota here, and the Guardians are projected to have 7 lefties in their lineup in this one. Based on what we've seen so far this season, I'd say all signs are pointing towards Cleveland putting up a big number off of Pablo Lopez. The other matchup we got is Tanner Bybee against Minnesota's offense. In his 3 starts last year against the Twins, he didn't record a win or a loss. 4.20 ERA and a 153 whip. Not great. But the Twins lineup is a lot different this year. There was a lot of shift there in the offseason. Against the current Twins lineup, just 31 career bats. Bybee's got decent numbers there. Just a 617 OPS and a 194 OBA. So the current Twins lineup, as it stands right now, hitting just 194 off Bybee. Now, we know Tanner Bybee got off to a pretty awful start this season. Against Oakland, just 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 walks is a little bit alarming. And considering it was against Oakland, even more alarming. Now, it's one game. It's not enough of a sample size to draw any sort of conclusions, but it's certainly not very encouraging. Let's take a look at some splits here, and I got some good news and some bad news for Bybee. The good news, Twins should probably have 6 lefties in the lineup for this one. Tanner Bybee's been much better against left-handed bats. This is over his career. It's a very short career, but against lefties, a 257 WOBA, 302 FIP is really good. You can see against righties, the FIP's all the way up at 403. WOBA significantly higher as well. So that's a positive thing. Tanner Bybee should see a lot of lefties. He pitches well against lefties. But the bad news, this one's on the road in Minnesota. And as we know, if you followed Cleveland baseball last year, Tanner Bybee much better at home. You can see ERA jumps from a 211 to a 394. WOBA jumps, home runs per 9. A 0.3 at home, a 1.3 on the road. So he's allowing home runs at 4 times the rate on the road. Whip is higher as well. Now, some good news for Tanner Bybee would be Minnesota's lineup looks pretty brutal so far this season. A 51 WRC plus against righties. That's horrible. I know we're dealing with a super small sample size, but they are not seeing the ball. A .054 isolated power. And if you look at the 4 righty starters they've seen, Ross, Junis, Singer, and Lugo. I mean, not that those are scrubs, but they're certainly not Cy Young Award winners. And those 4 guys combined, 20 2/3 innings pitched, a .92 whip, an 0.43 ERA, and not a single home run allowed. So the Twins are not seeing these righty starters. As far as the bullpens go, Cleveland should be a little more taxed than Minnesota is, but they should have their main arms available. Clase, Barlow, Gaddis, Morgan, all should be available for Cleveland. So I don't see any reason why we don't go right back to Cleveland here. I said on the live show I wanted to bet them yesterday against the Mariners. I didn't. Wishing I did, because they absolutely smoked George Kirby. I think they're going to do the same thing to Pablo Lopez. So Cleveland at plus money. Guardians are wagging right now. Give me the Guardians. Live show tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. We'll go through every single game. There's only six. There's 6 games. We'll go through them all at 11:30 a.m. NBA live show at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. If you want my top bets and all of our top bets, the whole staff, for all sports, head over to KyleKirms.com. The information's right there on the homepage. Let's have ourselves a nice little Thursday here. Not a ton of action on the board. Be sure to be smart and pick your spots. Bet responsibly. Talk to you in the Discord.